Um, um, I have understood that my purpose is to do what Hegel calls the negation of the negative, and I have to negate myself in a dialectical fashion, and I have to be logically consistent with my own thoughts and my own teachings. And I believe that this empirical body is an idea in the mind of God, which is what the traditional Hindu religion says, what the Christian faith says, that we have a soul incarnate in a flesh, and our real being is our soul. Uh, this is what Plato, the whole history of philosophy, actually says. And I said that it would be possible, if one was logically consistent, to reconstruct absolute knowing from the ground up, because there is only one being, and we are all parts of this being. And the Hermetic tradition says that there is a correspondence between the microcosm and the macrocosm, and each part of this totality of being, which thinks itself, can reconstruct the knowledge of the whole from his own position within the whole. So I've spent most of my adult life reading books, but the first negation of myself is to understand that I don't need books anymore. Doesn't mean that I won't read them, but I can do without them. I can reconstruct my own knowledge from my own intellectual activity, because I said myself that the logical process of Hegel's logic is a self-reconstructing process, and it is not me as an empirical individual, it is the whole of being which reconstructs itself, his own logic, his own spirituality, his own thought of himself. And yeah, so I I know that being is a self-destructive and at the same time self-rebuilding process, and that's dialectics, which explains the need to self-destruct and to reconstruct oneself, to tear apart the perfection of being and to bring it back to unity. And this movement is the life of God, it's the life of the absolute, and all of you watching this, and when I say you, I talk to my empirical body as well. You are all parts and moments in this life of the absolute, eternally negating itself and reconstructing itself. And I have planted the seeds, the beginning of the view of the totality on my videos, on my channels. You can find on Cultural Hegelianism, Eternal Light. I made a channel in French called Phénoménologie de l'Esprit. I have my videos of 2019, which are available on out-censored Cultural Hegelianism, and I have planted all the knowledge and the wisdom that was needed for the others, the you, and I am a you because my transcendental self is my real self, and this you, this me, is a you in relation to the transcendental self. So I have planted all the necessary knowledge, and I don't know if I'm gonna make other videos uh, on this channel, but it sounds megalomaniac, but there's a part of megalomania in the mind of God, but that's another story. I will let the process of spirit becoming conscious of itself. This is what the Christian call the apocalypse, the end times, the eschaton, whatever. Um, I have published a list of books which lead to the self-knowledge of God. It's on alt-censor cultural Hegelianism. I call it 157 books, the red pill, whatever. And these are not the individual books which are important. It's the entire process, the path, the kind of ideas that they reflect. And at this moment, world consciousness is going through the steps, and the image that I could share, and I have already shared this image, is that there is one cosmic mind, one cosmic brain, and each singular consciousness is a neuron within this cosmic brain, and all it needs to understand itself and understand its position in relation to the totality of the brain and to the totality of all other parts is to be enlightened by understanding the broad picture. And as an empirical individual, I am very limited, but I have gathered the experience and the knowledge and the understanding of the broad picture, what Hegel calls the idea of the whole, the idea of the totality. And I have shared the knowledge that I could, while from an abstract point of view, I understand why, for now, no one, we are early March 2022, why almost no one, including myself, understood me, and people don't watch my videos because they think that I'm crazy or that it's nonsensical. But I also know that at some point people will understand my videos, and I know that at this moment it will be too late for the empirical me, but because the empirical me is kind of a negative moment, but it is this negativity which can bring about the positive, which is spiritual relation to self and the birth of spirit. In the Phenomenology of Spirit, the book by Hegel, it's spirit is reason, which is the certainty of being the whole of reality, becoming truth. That reason becoming reason for another, and this is spirit. And yeah, so I've done my part as a limited empirical you on this YouTube channel, so I don't know if there will be other videos, but I will not suppress them because I want them to be shared, because I have just shared my knowledge from my point of view, and now I have to let the others, all the other point of view, reflect upon me and my thoughts, all the thoughts that I have ever thought, ever said, ever done. And this process of looking at each other in a mirror, looking through the eyes of one another, this is the spiritual experience. And I must accept my own ideas and the negation of my own empirical self. It will be very difficult. I will resist because I am programmed to care about my empirical being, and this will to remain within oneself and rejecting the whole is precisely evil. But I must overcome evil, and I must illuminate the dark with my own inner light, which is my true self. And